Hey, what nonsense is this? So every time I have to be the first to come for meeting. Eh? Okay, no problem. No problem. No problem.
Hi, Odosa. Good morning, yo.
Look at the time you're coming for meeting.
They say it. I got here 801. Nikini.
Okay.
You want to kill yourself? Please, you have a pen there.
Pyro for what? What do you need the pen for? What do you want to spell?
If this shaman come now, you can say I should be the secretary of this meeting. So I'm trying to.
You, secretary. You. Okay.
I've seen. Hey, Mrs. Oribo, I dey go your side. Mrs. Oribo, good job. How are you? Good morning. Yeah, how's the family? Thank you. You know, Misha no wan tell me say this cake that I see after the meeting. Hey, my friend. Hey. How are you? How are you? I'm here. I dey here. My friend. Akusu. Edosa, she don marry you. Maybe you na say make I remind you. I say make I remind you. Chairman never come. 801. Okay. Yeah, now here this meeting.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman. Fine, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
How's business?
Fine, business
Well
is
done.
fine. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Sir, see you at this your fresh beer. Hey, you welcome. Hey, well, it's good to see you. It's good to see you.
Mr. Chairman, sir. Good morning.
Mr. Ogunni.
Ṣé dáadáa lẹ́wà? Gbogbo lé ńkọ́? Pẹ̀lẹ́ ń jẹ́ kí àlejò wa kọjá. Ẹyin ni mo rí báyìí. My people, I am sorry I arrived late.
It's fine.
I was trying to sort most of the things that are crucial to this meeting. And now that I am here, we'll start writing. Please have your seat. Please have your seat. Thank you all for coming.
You're welcome.
At this juncture, can someone who is led by the Spirit take us in the opening prayer?
In the name of Jesus.
Just rise now.
Father Lord, we thank you for today.
We thank you for bringing us here safe.
Father Lord, as we start this meeting, start with us.
Amen.
As we commence with us.
Amen.
In Jesus' name I pray.
Amen.
Engineer Dosa, thank you so much for that short prayer. First and foremost, I want to apologize to you all for the short notification. Notwithstanding, I have to say thank you for honoring the meeting update that I sent to you people. And as you have observed today, our purpose is simple. We want to sensitize ourselves about the laws of Oyo State. You see, many people think these laws don't exist. As a result, we have abusers, we have victims of the law. So we need to make our people know about this law. And as you can observe, the new faces amongst us, they are representatives from Hope for Second Transformation. They will do the work for us. They are group people from the foundation. By the way, before we proceed, also remember, you should jot things down so that you can take things away. You understand? So that you can sensitize our people that when they see something, they should say something. Thank you. Engineer Edosa, please kindly be our Mrs. Oribogunje, be our secretary for today's meeting.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman.
I've seen my Bible.
They will not pass you like that. I did not pass you. They won't pass you. Why can't I be secretary, Mr. Chairman?
You can be the secretary, and I will be a floor member in this meeting, Abi.
Engineer Edosa, and you are also representing a group of people in your community, so be secretary to them. Write things for them like that.
I cannot send that money for 5,000. I cannot send it for 4,000. I cannot send it. Please.
Mr. Chairman, sir. Mr. Chairman, sir. Look at this madman.
Language. Don't call him a madman.
Mr. Chairman, just look at the time he's coming for meeting. We all have been here since 8 o'clock.
I understand.
Look at this stupid and his customer care is calling you.
I'm in a meeting. I'll call you back. What is it concern you?
I can't go sit down. What did they worry you? What's your problem? What's the problem? What's the problem of this meeting?
You? Are you okay?
Order.
Who are you? Who are you?
Mr. Akobolo, this your arriving late to meetings. It gets too much. Your coming late is becoming unbecoming. You have to watch it.
I'm very sorry, Mr. Chairman. I had to settle some disputes in my community.
You're always settling disputes.
What's the money you're giving me now?
Mr. Chairman, you know what you're giving me.
Take it easy.
What's wrong with you?
Order.
Who are you? Who are you?
Mr. Akobolo, please. Thank you, Mr. Akobolo. I'm only giving you this chance because the issue is coming from your community. If not, you know I will sanction you. So I'm giving you one more rope to pull. After that, you have no other chance to come in.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. But Mr. Chairman, I want to ask, what is happening in our community? Yes, what is happening in our community that we don't have shoulders to cry on anymore? Our girls are being raped. Our girls sleep with dogs. And our boys do drugs. What is happening? There is a strike, insecurity. What is happening in our community?
My friend, shut up!
Who are you? Close to me now.
Mr. Chairman.
Close to me now.
What did I tell you?
Close to me now. No, close to me now.
Mr. Chairman,
Who are you?
you are full of making nasty comments. Now, not rubbish in your mouth. You came late. You are still saying nonsense. Look at your Mr. Chairman, please let me land. Your shoe looks like the issue in your community.
You're very stupid. You are very stupid.
Language.
Don't listen to that.
You're a madman.
Hey, those are, you don't know what is going through now.
Order.
Who are you two?
Order.
No, who are you two?
No, don't say order. It's me. Please let us behave ourselves. No emotional igi-aga. If to say na emotion we take collect independence, nobody go dey here.
Mr. Chairman, I don't like this thing. You know, say I'm a Igbo woman, and business is very important. It's very important. So please, let us go to matters arising for today. Thank you.
I understand. It is not my intention that we should drag things this long. But if you continue this bickering this way, we will sleep here till 10, till 12 noon. Please, our visitors, we are sorry. We are not like this. We all are here to discuss the laws of Oyo State, and I'm sure we all have something to say. As a result,
Yes. These people are here to sensitize us. The thing they pay me say these ones we get them, but we know they use them.
Yes.
I mean, they use them.
No.
They use them.
Yes. Mrs. Akusu, you are very right.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, these laws that are implemented, we know they see the judgment. We are not seeing the judgment. Yes.
thank you. Yes, that is why we are here. To sensitize ourselves about these laws. Our able representatives are here to do justice to that. So I want to implore you all to pay attention so that you can tell them in your local communities about these laws. Is that clear?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All chairpersons present. My name is Mrs. Odunlade Art Gallery from Hope for Second Chance Foundation.
You're welcome.
With me is Mrs. Odunlade. I was hoping someone would read the laws out to us.
Mr. Chairman, let me read, sir.
For you, no.
Language.
Sorry, why you are not that shy?
You didn't read it. Say you know it when you did school.
I'm not sure.
What's wrong with you?
Sure.
Language. Say order. Please, enough of this petty.
Mr. Chairman. So you when they settle this with you have mouth to talk. You that have not paid your dues since the time that we gain independence October 1960, you still have mouth to talk. You. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you?
Order.
Mr. Chairman.
Close to me. This is not close to me. I should close to you.
Order.
Mr. Chairman, I think Akobolo and Edosa needs to excuse us from this.
I agree with you. But you see, their representatives, they need to be here to listen so that they can go back to their communities and tell them about the meeting.
We are sorry.
We are sorry.
We are not like this. We are not like this. We are not like this.
We are very sorry. Mrs. Ofokume, do us the honors. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All protocols to be observed. In the act to eradicate violence in the lives of citizens in this country, these are the laws that we need to obey. First, on law on inflicting physical injury on a person. Any person who willfully or recklessly cause or inflict physical injury on another person, whether or not by means of any dangerous weapon, substance, or object, commits an offence and is liable on conviction to a term of imprisonment not exceeding 2 years or to a fine not exceeding 80,000 naira or both. Any person who receives or assists another person who to his knowledge commits an offence under this section is an accessory after the fact and is liable on conviction to a term of imprisonment not exceeding 2 years or to a fine not exceeding 300,000 naira or both.
Go on.
Now to the law on political violence. Any person who commits a political violence commits an offence and is liable on conviction to a term of imprisonment not exceeding 10 years or to a fine not exceeding 2 million naira or both.
Go on.
Any person who receives or assists another who to his knowledge has committed the offence under this section is an accessory after the fact and is liable on conviction to a term of imprisonment not exceeding 2 years or to a fine not exceeding 1 million naira. Violence by state actors or executives. Any state actor who commits violence commits an offence and is liable on conviction to a term of imprisonment not exceeding 10 years or to a fine not exceeding 5 million naira or both. Any state actor who receives or assists a state actor who to his knowledge has committed the offence under this section is an accessory after the fact and is liable on conviction to a term of imprisonment not exceeding 1 year or to a fine not exceeding 3 million naira or both.
Go on.
Now to
Which go on? Which go on, Mr. Chairman? Mr. Chairman, that law has to be checked. Yes. How can you say a member of the executive who commits political violence pay a minimum of 5 million? That's not. Those are like droplets in the ocean. How is that not too small?
It's small.
Is it not too small?
I see, for the first time, I agree with engineer.
No, me, I agree with you. I think they should increase the money to 10 million and let them increase the year to 15 years. That will make them think twice before they misbehave. Stop. What is 10 million? What is 5 million? These people are very capable. How much do these people have? They are capable now. They are capable.
So this kind of day, now we know they use am. In fact, we dey not pay fine again, make dem go jail. But wait, Mr. Chairman, government go need money. Yeah, they go need money, and like from this place, I dey see the money. And I should say na you. You are you because that kind to do. Are you mad? Are you, Mr. Sorry, are you asking them? Why you mad? I do. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. You are a madman. You are a madman too. Oh, language. Mr. Chairman, I don't blame you. Mr. Chairman, you should have blame. Mr. Chairman, you are the one that gave him rope to pull. Engineer, sir. In fact, what are you engineering?
I support you for this one. Let them cut the rope. Let them cut the rope.
Trust you, Abi. People have gang up, Abi. People have gang up, Abi. You go jail. And if I go jail, fear my return. Which return? Fear my return if I go jail. Why you?
Hold on now.
Mr. Chairman, sir, you see, I don't blame this big for it.
Who is it?
You see, domestic political violence is so underrated in our community, and it has both physical and psychological acts. Aim at injury or intimidating population. But you see, we live in a community where the rights are wrong and the wrongs are right. That is the cause of all this.
Thank you very much for that.
If I may add, these executives are not even aware of the political violence going on in their immediate environment. It is the youth that go as far as killing innocent citizens. Thank you.
Mrs. Ofokume.
Starting on the existing protocol, please. My name is Mrs. Ofokume.
But I get out here. Okay, I give you there. What's the problem? Is it me you're talking to? Abubolo, can you listen to what this representative is telling me? Nonsense. Come, don't provoke me. Engineer. Abubolo, can you listen to what what she's telling me? What's she telling you? How can you say that members of the executive who commit political are not aware? Wait, what do you mean? Wait. I can bet my zonal dues that these people are not aware. You're a madman. You're a madman. Who are you? You're a madman. My brother, sit down. What do you start politics to? I was down at your inauguration. You? Never. Who are you? My brother, sit down.
Engineer Dosa, please, where do you think you are?
Who are you? What are you engineering?
Please.
What are you engineering? No, tell me. My friend, go and sit down. Go and sit down. You're sitting on me. Go and sit down. Mr. Chairman, I'm not your mate. If you permit me, please. I can start mentioning cases of political violence.
Don't start mentioning. No, why? No, don't mention here. Please.
Edosa is enough. Mr. Chairman, sir, you see, it is the duty of these executives to sensitize the general public about political violence, whether they are aware or not. And if they fail to adhere, then they are going to do what inside jail now.
Engineer Dosa, Mr. Cole, please behave yourselves. We have guests.
Nah, miss. We are sorry.
We are sorry.
We are not like this.
Moreover, Engineer Dosa, I cannot let you come here and start listing political violences. That was in the past. This time around, you should know that we cannot start opening fresh wounds here. If any political executive is found breaking this particular law, now jail with fine go end up. It's no more than that. Please, and let us not waste time. Let's go straight. Stop this dragging back and forth. Please, the next law.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All protocols duly observed. Now to the law on damage to property with intent to cause harm or distress.
Thank you.
Any person who causes mischief or destruction or damage to property of another with the intent to cause or knowing that it is likely to cause harm, distress or annoyance to the victim commits an offence and is liable on conviction to a term of imprisonment not exceeding 2 years or to a fine not exceeding 500,000 naira or both. Any person who receives or assists another who to his knowledge has committed the offence under this section is an accessory after the fact and is liable on conviction to a term of imprisonment not exceeding 1 year or to a fine not exceeding 3,000 naira or both. Now to the law on harmful traditional practices. Any person who carries out or subjects another person to harmful traditional practice commits an offence and is liable on conviction to a term of imprisonment not exceeding 4 years or to a fine not exceeding 500,000 naira or both.
Go on.
Any person who receives or assists another who to his knowledge has committed the offence under this section is an accessory after the fact and is liable on conviction to a term of imprisonment not exceeding 2 years or to a fine not exceeding 200,000 naira or both. Now to the law on female genital.
Mr. Chairman, sir.
Mr. Kobolo, go ahead.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
You see, that's law on harmful traditional practice. I don't know why the thing is in the constitution. I don't know why, because it is not practiced here in our community. Please, throw it to the east. To the east, please. To the east.
Akobolo.
Please.
Akobolo, look at me. Excuse me, what do you mean by what you are trying to say?
It's right now.
You shut up and pay. No make me reach your side. No make me reach your side. Run yourself.
Order.
Mr. Chairman, you should talk to me. Don't you even wait for your husband to be there before you strip them of what they have labored for?
Something is wrong with you.
Bitch.
It's like you're very stupid. Run yourself. Mrs. Akusu, calm down. Let the truth be told. Let's trash this thing now. Let's trash it, Kerry. It's like all of you are mad. Chairman, leave for that. You know when they talk about this rubbish. I don't like am. We are Pobolo. You be Westerner. You be Westerner. And you too. Look me. You be Westerner. And you, Madam Rubo Gucci, what's in your name? Make I say time my hair. It's like you're very foolish.
I quit. This meeting will not be the end of it. Okay. I have heard. Let us go back to our seat. Thank you. Leave my leg alone. I'm fine. Please go and just go and sit down. Go and sit down. Emma, me order sit down. We are sorry. No, please.
We are sorry.
What is all this?
No, we are sorry.
You can also go and find another chairman.
No, we are sorry.
What was all this now?
We are sorry.
In the presence of our guests.
We are sorry.
If you don't even consider me, consider their presence here.
Our guests, we are sorry. We are not
always like this. We are sorry. Please don't bring ethnicity into this matter. This harmful traditional practice is done everywhere. So don't start being biased over what is not. And anyone caught in this indulging in this act of harmful traditional practice, we dance to the beat of the law. So don't come here.
Standing on existing products.
I
would like to even say that window maltreatment is not the only harmful traditional practice that exists. We have tribal marks. We also have FGM, female gender mutilation. I would like my colleague to read on the next law on female gender mutilation. Thank you.
We are sorry. We know it's our temper that is.
Thank you. All protocols duly observed. Now to the law on female genital mutilation. The female genital mutilation of girl child or women is hereby prohibited. Any person who performs female genital mutilation or engages another to carry out such mutilation commits an offence and is liable on conviction to a term of imprisonment not exceeding 4 years or to a fine not exceeding 500,000 naira or both. Any person who receives or assists another who to his knowledge has committed the offence under this section is an accessory after the fact and is liable on conviction to a term of imprisonment not exceeding 2 years or to a fine not exceeding 200,000 naira or both.
Sorry, our representative, sorry. Mr. Chairman, sir, please. This female genital mutilation, are they still practicing it? Is it still ongoing?
My friend, very much. Engineer Dosa, I can list numbers of communities where these things are still being practiced. And they are making it look like we are not doing our work. So you see the reason why we should work in test to make sure that this terrible tradition is being abolished totally. The society frowns at it. We don't talk with this. If I add my way, I will increase the number of years.
Mr. Chairman, sir, to buttress your point, you see, female genital mutilation is very bad, though, and it affects the health of the child. It can be so deadly, and according to research also, FGM can cause complication during childbirth. For those of us that have female children, before they go to adult, please let us take note of
the existing protocol. I would like to add on what the secretary just said, and I would like to expatiate more on what female genital mutilation really entails. See, female genital mutilation is the partial or total removal of the female genitalia. Some call it female circumcision. And whilst this process, after it is done, these females suffer difficulty in urinating. Some people have difficulty in childbirth. Can you imagine all of this? And even some of them, after all, they have trauma because of these things, and they are very dangerous to their health. Yes. I would say my colleague to just read. I mean, we should have more knowledge on these things. These things are really, really bad. I can't emphasize more how bad it is.
Very bad, very bad. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you, Mrs. Oribukta and Mrs. Ogegenge. Thank you, guys. You see why we need to do our work well. I hope you are noting things so that the people in your communities will know how terrible this thing is. My Madam, are you jotting things down?
Yes, she's jotting.
Please jot things down. Thank you very much. Please, the next law.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All protocols duly observed. Now to the law on indecent exposure. Any person who indecently exposes himself with the intention of causing distress to the other person, or that another person seeing it may be tempted or induced to commit an offence under this law, commits an offence. Any person who commits this offence under this section is liable on conviction to a minimum of imprisonment or a term of 1 year, or to a fine not exceeding 500,000 naira or both.
Yes. Now I see what the problem of society lies. Now I see why there's problem in this society. Mr. Chairman, now you see this is where rape comes in. Yes, in this society, this is where rape comes in.
You see, when they were sharing bread in heaven, let me ask you, how does indecent dressing lead to rape? Answer me. Instead of you men who talk about the crime rape, I not justify the act.
He doesn't think at all. He doesn't think. You don't start again. You don't start again. Order.
Let us calm down. He's talking to our female children. So let us just caution them. Let us caution them everywhere.
He's talking to the female children. Yes. Our boys are not indecent in dressing. Look at my brother here. Our boys are not indecent. Look at him now. Look at me. Have you ever seen a boy wear skimpy clothes to occasion? Come on, get out, my friend. Your son is there now. Let
me even ask you, is it only indecent dressing that leads to rape? Or does it justify the act? See, I know dressing indecently is bad, but we should not justify that with rape now.
Don't tell me that. Mr. Chairman, please, excuse me, sir, please. Men are moved by what they see. Are you not moved by what you see? I am moved by what I see. Mr. Chairman, are you not moved by what you see?
I'm not that kind of man. No, I'm not that kind of. Don't stop it. I'm not that kind of man. Take your time. I'm not that kind of man.
We have 3 beautiful girls at home. The Lord will catch you. There was a time I was in the meeting of the Rope Association of Nigeria. Yes, in Bayelsa. Yes, Rope Association.
Is that round?
Yeah, round. In Bayelsa, yes. In front of a supermarket, or 2 supermarket, I saw one man rubbing his genital organs in front of a lady. What do you call that?
Leave it.
Tell me what do you call that one? Engineer. What do you call that one?
I saw one on the internet. This one happened in Lagos. This man was masturbating in front of a woman. Let me now ask him, what of men when they sit on the bike with a lady before they come down? What to go Okay, lastly, let me now ask you a very beautiful question. What of babies? Yes, children that are innocent. Do they dress indecently?
Language? Come on. Stop. See, our important.
We are sorry.
We are more coordinated than this.
Before another civil war starts, let me illuminate you. Whether girl or boy, the law applies to both. Have we not had cases of boys that wear skimpy shorts to occasions, exposing their hot legs and putting our girls in disarray? So let us face the law for what it is, and let us not be biased. Anyone found guilty of this, they will dance to the beat of this law. Honestly. So please, our representatives, you may proceed.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In fact, there is a law on new pictures. People that send new pictures to other people. Let me read the law out. Any person who captures or causes another person to capture the nude picture or video of a person without the consent of that person commits an offence and is liable on conviction to a minimum fine of 200,000 naira. Any person who accepts or trades or procure nude picture or video for public consumption commits an offence and is liable on conviction to a term of imprisonment for minimum of 5 years or a minimum fine of 500,000. Any person who sends or causes to be sent nude picture or video to public space or cyberspace commits an offence and is liable on conviction to a term of imprisonment for minimum of 7 years or minimum fine of 100,000. Now to the law on rape. But before I read the law on rape, I would like my colleague to enlighten us on what rape really means, because a lot of us don't even know what rape really means. Thank you.
Thank you. Standing on existing truth.
Hey, stand.
I would like to expatiate more on what rape is, because a lot of us have just basic knowledge about it. We don't even know that the law has been recently modified. But I would explain to us. Rape. A person commits the offense of rape if, number one, he intentionally penetrates the vagina, anus, mouth, or absorb the penis of another with any part of his body or anything else. Another one is, or the person does not consent to the penetration or absorption. If the consent is obtained by force, means of threat, or intimidation of any kind, or by fear of harm, or means of false and fraudulent representation to the nature of the act, or the use of substance and adjective capable of taking away the will of such person, or in the case of a married person, by impersonating the spouse. And I want to also add that even boys go through this. The only one we know about is for ladies or women. These things they are really bad. The men go through this. We have cases of boys raping, adults raping. We have.
You are right.
I would like to call on my colleague to read on the law. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You are right.
But before I read the law, I would like to enlighten us on the word called statutory rape.
Statutory.
Yes. Statutory rape.
Yes.
Yes, this means having sexual knowledge of a child even with his or her consent. Yes, some people will say, okay, the child gave consent. A child of 12 years gave consent, right? It is still rape and it's punishable by the law. Thank you. Now to the law on rape. A person convicted of an offence under this section is liable to imprisonment for life, except where the offender is less than 14 years of age. The offender is liable to maximum of 14 years imprisonment. And in the case of rape by a group of persons, the offenders are liable jointly and severally to imprisonment for life. The court shall also award appropriate compensation to the victim as it may deem fit in the circumstance. There is a law on willfully making false statements. Any person who willfully makes false statements, whether oral or documentary, in any judicial proceeding under this law, or with the aim of initiating investigation or criminal proceedings against another person, commits an offence and is liable on conviction to a term of imprisonment not exceeding 3 years or a fine not exceeding 200,000 naira.
Sorry. Our representative, that law on willful false, what did you call it?
Willfully making false statements.
I like this law. Mr. Chairman, I like, you see, there are girls now that have weaponized that term, rape. You know, and they used to collect money from, sorry, not from me. They used to collect money from boys. Yes. Why you said go put the position for that kind of thing when they will collect money from your hand? I'm not sure my name.
Order. Talking about myself now. Apollo. Stop it now. Engineer here is making sense for the first time in this meeting. Stop it. Stop it. Don't. Thank you, engineer.
You said
Thank you. You have done well. I commend you. We need more of this.
For the first time since.
Thank you. You have done well. Please, you may proceed.
Mr. Chairman, all protocols duly observed.
Observe.
Now to the law on incest. Any person who willfully or knowingly has carnal knowledge of another who is a blood relation or has any kind of kinship ties to the person without his consent, where such consent is obtained by fraud or threat, commits an offence and is liable on conviction to a minimum term of 5 years imprisonment or a minimum fine of 200,000 naira or both. Any person who receives or assists another who to his knowledge has committed the offence under this section is an accessory after the fact and is liable on conviction to a term of imprisonment not exceeding 3 years or a fine not exceeding 200,000 naira or both. I would like to hand over to my colleague to continue reading the law.
Thank you.
Thank
You have done
Studying on existing protocol, I would like to continue reading the law. Next to the law on battery. Battery.
But please wait. How about alternator? Because my alternator is very bad, and I need to fix it.
No, Mr. Chairman, I mean battery.
And we are saying the same thing.
Husband beats their wife, and wife batters their husband.
My bad. My bad.
I would like to continue. Please continue. Any person who batters another person has committed an offence and is liable on conviction to a term of imprisonment not exceeding 3 years or to a fine not exceeding 500,000. Any person who also receives or assists another who to his knowledge has committed the offence under this section is an accessory and after the fact and is liable on conviction to a term of imprisonment not exceeding 1 year or to a fine not exceeding 200,000. I would like to go to.
Please, my dear, please sit down. Please. Concerning this law of battery, you have to understand, members, beating up your spouses is very wrong. And the society frowns at it. If you're having problems with your spouse, go and see a marriage counselor. Are you understanding? Are you understanding?
Yes.
Even I want to use this moment to, are you noting it? What I'm about to say. I want to use this moment to announce that I, Mr. Chairman, will make it a point of duty to make the phone lines open 24/7. So that if anyone has to make a call to report any case, they can easily get through to the phone lines. Is that clear?
Yes.
Please. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, please, if I may, please also stress that men also suffer this too.
Yes. It is written in the law. He or she.
We know, but for emphasis sake.
Sister, waiting. I mean, husband dey beat you.
Maybe she dey beat her husband.
If I, Mr. Chairman, if I add my weight, I've increased the number of years that the person should spend inside jail. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, what happened now? Why you want to increase her?
Why not go increase her?
It's too much now.
I will take too much. I will take too much.
Say they beat your wife.
See, the factor is that, do you know the number of lives you have lost to this particular atrocity? If we send the person to jail and the person dies there, because many lives have been wasted. There is one that was. Can I?
Let him talk now. What happened to you?
Maybe in our meeting, engineer, no sir. You see why we should all do our work well and let our people know.
Yes, you're right.
Mr. Chairman, if the marriage no smooth, make both of them make them divorce, no be by force. Make them go there for like years. Make them divorce.
Thank you for those contributions. You may proceed, Georgie.
Thank you, Mr. President. Standing on the existing protocol, I would like to continue on the law. Now to the law on emotional, verbal, and psychological abuse. Any person who causes emotional, verbal, or psychological abuse to another has committed an offence and is liable on conviction to a term of imprisonment not exceeding 1 year or to a fine not exceeding 100,000. Any person who incites another to commit the offence under this section has committed an offence and is liable on conviction to a term of imprisonment not exceeding 1 year or to a fine not exceeding 100,000.
Yes, you are right. You are very, very correct. All of them like this. All of them like this. Go jail. All of them like this. Excuse me. All of them like this. Go jail. Yes, because in this meeting, all of you have abused me. Yes, including you. All of you have abused me. Abobolo, you. That's your value. Shut up and let me land, please. But you know that one was abusing me. You will never be happy session. Yes. And you are yes, you're number 2. And Madam Secretary. Yes, you abused me too. My friend, something about you. Joseph abused me. Joseph abused me. Yes.
When I abuse you.
In your mind, when you're looking at me, in your mind, you're abusing me.
Engineer, please sit down, engineer. In fact, go and pay your dues. You're standing here doing it.
You see? Since 1960, the man made dues. Pay your dues.
Please. Our representative.
We are sorry.
I'm not like this. We are not like this.
Please, let's pay attention to her.
How protocols do you observe?
Observe.
Emotional and verbal abuse goes a long way in destroying and damaging lives of citizens, whether old or young. It involves using manipulation to make people do what they will not do on a normal day, and making them to isolating them, forcing them to infringing their freedom, their right to do things, and so on and so forth.
She has said it. Manipulation.
Not this year.
Manipulation, Mr. Chairman. Manipulation.
Engineer Edosa.
Sir?
Contribution. Go and pay your contribution. Mr. Kobolo, Mr. Engineer Edosa, please behave yourselves. We are getting close to the end of this meeting, but I want to let you all know that these laws have been made in order to eradicate some unnecessary mess in our public and private lives. So go back to your immediate communities and let them know that there is no more room for excuses. And we have all heard. Exactly. So there is no room for I did not hear, I did not know about it. No one is ignorant anymore. If you break the law, you go collect. Seriously. So everyone should go back home and do their assignment. Exactly. Yes. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate our representatives. I appreciate it the most. Mrs. Oriboguje, I want to suggest that in subsequent meetings, if you have representatives like this, we should have water around. At this juncture, any other business, because we are driving to the end. Business. I didn't expect to see this much. But anyway, Mr. Kobolo, number 1. You be number 2, and then Mrs. Oriboguje, number 3. Mr. Kobolo, over to you.
Thank you very much. I won't want this boy. I won't want you. What do you want to do? Can you imagine? You tell me where I enter this place, why they call my customer for room. You tell me say at the customer care. I don't buy me that. I don't buy me that. I don't buy me that. Why you engineering?
We go talk say we will be there educated. I'm not sure this one as school pass.
Order.
This is order. This one you don't say.
Mr. Kobolo, that is AOB.
No, he's feeding me now. I'm saying that I'm using customer. I'm calling customer care. Well, you're not calling customer care. What?
Is this AOB? Oh, I expected more from you, Mr. Kowolo. I thought you were wiser than this. Honestly, number 2, please. Please, number 2.
Standing on existing.
Stand, my dear.
Let's start with you.
I would like to call on the executive of the Oyo State Foundation, the person of Mrs. Oteshide. I would like her to tell us some things about the organization.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much for having me. I'd like to greet everybody in today's meeting. Now, we have come to tell you about the laws of Oyo State. Now, these laws apply to you whether you are indigents of Oyo State or not. As long as you are a resident in Oyo State, whether you visit or not, if you commit the crime in Oyo State, these laws are applicable to you. That's 1. 2, we cannot reach everybody at the same time. And we expect that you will take all that you have heard today and take it to every doorstep to tell them about all that you have heard. Preventing gender-based violence is not protecting women alone. It's protecting women, men, children, and vulnerable persons in our society. When we protect our women, we protect ourselves. Do we not say that the women are taken from our sides? So if your side is fault, is the whole body not fault? Yes. As I leave you, please, children are our guarantee of tomorrow. Let us make sure that we commit to raising well-rounded children. How we can achieve that is if our homes are settled. If the atmosphere in our homes are good, then we will be able to raise good children that will grow to be responsible and respectable adults in our community. If you know anyone that has experienced any form of this violence, please reach out to us in our organization. We know what to do. Let's not always just like when rape happens, we take them to the hospital and it ends there. There is the need for psychosocial support for victims of abuse, whether it is sexual abuse, emotional abuse, financial abuse, any form of violence. There is that need for that help also. Let me use this opportunity again to educate us. Please, when rape happens, I've not read of any rape experience that happened that the perpetrator used condom. I don't think rape happens with condom on. And so there is the risk of sexually transmitted diseases. And so please, when rape happens, report it immediately. There is what we call PEP. It's called post-exposure prophylaxis. It inhibits the growth of the HIV virus. It is most potent between 0 to 72 hours. So when rape happens or sexual encounter that is unprotected, please report to the nearest state hospital for PEP. Protect yourself, prevent HIV, and protect your community. Thank you very much.
That was a beautiful one, like representative like Una.
You are right.
Honestly, our representatives, we say thank you to you once again. And we are very grateful you came. I hope when we call on you, you will come back again. Please don't look at what happened here today. We are not always like this. Can someone raise the motion for the adjournment?
I was the third person to raise that. What I want to say, I will say, Sherry, I feel in our next meeting we should have Mamu Gari. You know what is one cough. We should have it on shift with this meeting. Because the rubbish and the nonsense these people they are doing is unnecessary.
I agree with
the
you.
next meeting.
I will look into it. I promise you that. I will look into it. Please, let someone now raise a motion for the adjournment.
Mr. Chairman, me, I don't want the process. Me, Akusu Kenechukwu, I raised the motion for the adjournment.
Thank you.
Second Sunday in September.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder?
Seconded by Aibemi Origokuje.
Thank you. Thank you. Now let us arise and gather in front here for our regular group photograph.
All of them don't gang up against me. Who gang up against you? Come now. Come here now.
Drop the car.
There's someone who look at me. Can we give them another video?